Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Brief Dive Podcast, where we talk about deep topics for a brief amount of time. Today, we're talking relationships, and we got
Christiana. I'm 18 years old.
And we also have a returning guest.
What's good, y'all? It's Senya rhymes with Kenya back again.
All right, we're just going to go straight into the topic. Relationships.
Talk to me.
We see him.
Right.
We know him.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know when you're ready for a relationship?
For me, I think you're ready for a relationship when you're done being selfish. When you find that things don't only revolve around you, like I think oftentimes when we think about relationships, we think about what we can get from said person, like, oh, they're going to make me feel good, or they're going to spend time with me. They're going to do this and that for me. But I think with even the way Jesus calls us to love one another, he says, like, love is selfless. Jesus didn't die because we gave him something in return, So with that act of love being shown to us, I feel like with getting into relationships, you need to be ready to die to yourself, come together, and be for that person.
That's very good.
I agree.
And that's something, when it comes to love in the West, we think of it as this great feeling that mends all things. But in reality, love is very hard because love requires sacrifice. Mm-hmm. And in order to sacrifice something, that means you have to give something up. And especially when it comes to the things of a relationship, if two people are coming into agreement with each other to go down this journey with each other, that's going to mean that each one of those people are going to have to lay down their own will for the relationship. In the same way we see the parallels between Christ and the church, you see that in Christianity. A lot of people, when they're going to follow Christ, they have to give up their own will so that God can work through them. In a relationship, especially of a good functioning relationship, both people, they're operating from a place of selflessness in order to serve the other person, and to ultimately, when they do have a family, serve the family.
I have a question. Selflessness.
Yeah, selflessness, not selfishness.
Okay.
So you're ready for a relationship when you realize, okay, I can exist myself without feeling the need to have somebody to make myself complete. And I am at the point where I can pour into somebody else. Because without that ability to pour into somebody else, it's like, why are you thinking about getting into a relationship? Mm-hmm. You're just going to be a liability for them. So we have to be secure in who we are so that we can also pour into other people and vice versa.
I agree. I think in my opinion, it's just like, if you could reach a point where you're in a room on your own and you're like okay with it, and remember when we said, in this video, we said, if you're focusing on yourself and taking care of yourself, people will just naturally come to you. So if you're just at a state of content with yourself in some shape, way, or form anyway, I think you're straight, because I think you'll always be good. You're good with yourself, and of course you're not alone because you're with God.
There is a caveat though.
Yeah.
Sometimes where we're so inwardly focused or focused on ourselves, we tend to be self-centric. So there is a balance. Because if you're too focused on self when it comes time to be in a relationship, now you're still operating from a sense of self. Mm-hmm. So whilst it's important to be secure in yourself, that's not to say that you shouldn't be serving others. I've found that the best way to be secure in myself is to serve others. That's where you find out who you really are. The kind of traits that God put in you to serve others. Because this life, none of us were born in this earth to be the only person on the earth. So it's very important that we understand that in order to find ourselves, we need to be able to serve others. Mm-hmm. So when you go into the relationship and you've already been serving, you've already been sacrificing, it's going to be second nature to do that in a relationship. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So in Western culture in 2024, a lot of people are so inwardly focused that even it creates like a narcissistic complex when you really think about it. We live in the social media era, which means everybody's on camera. Everybody wants to make a name for themselves, but nobody wants to really pour into somebody else. Nobody really wants to put other people before them. You know, and the reason I follow Jesus is because there's so many sound principles he taught. Like the first will be last. And we should be servants instead of people that are trying to be kings over everybody. And there's a lot of power in being a servant to somebody and really serving them. Because if you put somebody before yourself, it's like this positive feedback loop starts to be created in society. If everybody served each other, you know how great this world would be?
Mm-hmm.
Let alone just your relationship.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's keep that in mind. Don't be selfish. I see you at home. Yeah.
And
don't be selfish.
Yeah, I agree. And I also feel like knowing your purpose too, because I feel like it's just so much more different as Christians. You know, we're not just coming together to be together and to be happy. Like, it's for the kingdom, you know. We have a purpose in being together. So if you don't know your worth, you don't know your purpose in God, how would you, if you came together with someone, how do you expect to be fruitful? You know, the Bible says, like, you'll know them by their fruit. You're going to get into a meaningless relationship in which there is no fruit. And even then, knowing your purpose and getting together, when you know your purpose and you're living in it and acting in it, when you find that person, you know, they should just merge. You guys should mesh, you know, you will be able to support one another. So I just feel like really just knowing what you're living for and then asking God to lead the way when you then come together with someone, you know, that takes away all, like, not all, but majority of the possibilities of maybe you being too selfish when you come together, you being too outwardly focused on other people's perceptions and opinions, etc., and things like that.
That's a great point. Being able to complement each other, especially when you have a purpose. A lot of people are more or less floating in life, where they're not necessarily going after the things that been placed in them to go and pursue, but based on their talents, their gifts, and their own passions. And a lot of times without that purpose, we can tend to fall into meaningless relationships. I know in the past that has been me, where I was literally not focused. I didn't know where I was going towards. So because of the allure of love and everything that comes with that, you just get into a relationship that is going nowhere. It's like a car with no direction. You're just on 495, you're on 395. You don't even know where you're going. You're just driving. So you end up in Maryland or something, and you're there, you park, and you get robbed. You had no direction.
Familiar.
Sounds very familiar. I wonder what. Anyways,
I want to build off of that. There's a saying, I've told you guys this before. It's do not drink poison just because you're thirsty. So because our need of just like wanting to get in a relationship so bad, it blinds us from our personal values and our purpose.
That's right.
And it makes us think from other parts of our bodies, if you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, what do you guys think about that?
I'm glad you said that, because that's something that, again, especially young people, we all struggle with that. You know, when you feel like you've been alone for so long and it's time, like, yo, I'm tired of being alone. I'm trying to come out the wilderness.
God, I'm ready.
God, I'm ready. And then you're, at this point, because you're so hell-bent on finding somebody, you just choose whatever comes. Just because you want to satisfy the void of love, or what you think is the void of love. When in reality, you're fine the way you are. And you actually have a lot more maturing to do, but that's another topic for another time. I think it's very important that we be vigilant and we see things from a third person perspective, because a lot of times you can, out of love, you can end up making a wrong decision. You can end up being blinded. So you're pursuing this person is pursuing you, but you know it's not even gonna work, because y'all on paper y'all not even compatible for real. But because you want so bad to feel that emotion of being in love, you say, man, I'm gonna run all the red lights. You see all the red flags. You know what? I don't care. I'm trying to feel this emotion. So you get there, and what ends up happening? You got so many toxic relationships nowadays. You got so many people that are in a relationship, and you're like, well, what are we even doing? What are we? We're farmers. Da, 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 da. Anyways, so let's be intentional and let's understand that being alone is okay. Being aware of ourselves and growing with ourselves and with God is okay. And you don't always have to be in a relationship. I've found that the more that you wait intentionally and the more that you are working on yourself by going to God, the more you start to see the kind of true character traits you want your partner to have. Because now you're growing in your own maturity and you realize, okay, it takes a specific type of person to complement me on the path that I'm going, and vice versa.
What do you think?
Yeah. I feel like with social media, that makes it 10 times harder. You're scrolling through, you see couples, people, and it's like, even then, you look at those relationships, you don't know what's going on.
That's like the surface. Yeah.
It's just a surface.
Facts.
Like, the picture's cute. Like it. No hate.
Facts.
But at the same time, it's like, you don't know what those people are going through in their relationships. And I feel like we live in a generation where it's like, you're not normal if at a certain age you have not been in a relationship. So I definitely do understand why people feel that pressure to be with someone, because it's something that's been said to be normal. So if you're not doing it, if you haven't done it, then there's something wrong with you, is basically what society tells you. You know, and you have so many people who are just together simply just to be together. But I think, like, I have empathy. Like, I really do feel for the people who, like, maybe they've developed the toxic habit of just constantly feeling the need to be in relationships because they want to feel validated, and they just, who knows, maybe they have a brand with that person. But I feel like being alone should be normalized more, you know, and really promoted more than just being with someone, you know.
Do you guys think it should be praised or it should be normalized? Because there's some people that praise being alone, and they're just like, yes, independence, don't be in a relationship. Just focus on you, don't be in a relationship. Don't make friends, just focus on you.
It depends on your algorithm.
Yeah.
To be quite honest. You might see on your feed, you might see all these couples and you see that's being praised. On your feed, you might see like singles talking about, yeah, bro, being alone is great. It all depends on your algorithm. What are you feeding yourself? But in the same vein, I think, again, there's a fine balance. Social media is people's highlights. It's not real. It's not reality. It's not their day-to-day. You may see the picturesque couple. They're going on trips. They're here, they're there. But in reality, they're bickering after the camera turns off. All the time, arguing. Very toxic. You might see that person that's online talking about, yeah, so I built this business and I did it all myself and I'm going to just keep on doing it. But as soon as he turns off the camera, he goes into stress. The anxiety that comes with all that. The nights where he's like, man, I really wish I had family by my side. I really wish I had somebody to compliment me on my side. So it can go both ways. I honestly, and this is why a relationship with God is so important, because the kind of maturity and the kind of character that you build in following Christ supersedes the two different scenarios that I just mentioned.
I agree.
It supersedes it to an umpteenth degree, because you understand, like, no matter what, I don't need to get my value from these external things. Another person is external, whether you believe it or not. And a lot of people go to another person for validation. But me personally, I know I'm valuable because my God tell me I'm valuable.
Amen.
Because he numbers the hairs on my head. I'm black, so I got a lot of curly, nappy hairs on my head.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. So you telling me my God has counted all the thousands of hairs on my head, and that he clothes even the lilies of the field and watches over the sparrows, and how much more for me? And I've seen his power over my life and the things that he's brought me through. No matter if I have a significant other or not, I know my value, and I don't need to get that from somewhere outside of what God has already said. So that's definitely something that will hedge against forcing or getting into toxic relationships. If you good with God, I'm telling you, seek first the kingdom, everything else will be added.
But honestly, even if the relationship isn't toxic, if you have that mentality, whether or not if they are the person for you, you're gonna ruin it, you know? Because if that is your called, like, kingdom spouse, you still depending on them in that way and having that attachment and not getting your confidence and boost from God will ruin that, you know? And I feel like we like to say, like, you know, what God has, no one can ruin and nothing like that. But we serve a God. It's like when we're disobedient to him and we're not moving the way in which he wants us to, he will lengthen the process, you know? So that could be your partner, but God knows that if you get with them, you're not at the point where he's all you need. So God will lengthen that time and you're not going to be able to really be happy together, you know? They could be the one, but you're just finding that things are just not good, you know?
There's a way people idolize their partner. And I don't believe that's healthy at all. Even from just a regular person standpoint with no religious background or anything. There's a way people will idolize their partner and create this fantasy about, like, let's say a crush or a significant other, whatever it may be, that isn't fair to them, to their partner, because now it's holding them to this
high pedestal
that no human being can really meet all the things they're fantasizing this person to be, because we're humans, we're imperfect at the end of the day. And I really do feel like that kind of thing can lead, even if you're somebody that's walking with God, somebody that isn't, it can lead to a lot of problems in a relationship, because now it's like, wait, you're not meeting everything that I thought about you? Nah, this is not gonna work. No.
And if you think about that, like seeing that in third person, like you low-key kind of sound crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, if you was to say that out loud, you were like, who are you to think that a human being could meet all of these things you're fantasizing about?
Yeah.
It's unfair.
It's not healthy.
It's not.
It's mean.
I wanted to bring something up. So tying into, like, you know, being perfect for your partner, like no one's perfect. We all go through stuff mentally. So do you think you should disclose your mental health issues to a partner early on in the relationship? I can give you guys some time to think about that.
Define mental health issues.
Like, you do it with anxiety from time to time. You get very, very stressed from time to time. You get depressed from time to time. Should you let that person know a couple of dates in?
You don't want to scare them, like, first few dates, I feel like. But at the same time, you don't want to build something and keep something so, like, deep from them, you know? It honestly depends, because I feel like there's dating, then there's kingdom dating, where you're dating for the purpose of Christ. And with courtship, it's like, you know, the guarantees, like the intent is set on marriage, you know? This person they have to know these things, and eventually it will be really, like, they'll know eventually. But I really feel like, depending on your bond with said person, sometimes some people you find are easier to open up to. If they really are the one for you, I think you should be able to open up about that. Let them know what you're going through, what you battle, and you don't have to go into detail, I feel like. But, you know, you can always give people a brief surface analysis.
Brief dive.
Yeah, a brief dive. Give people a brief dive. And the further you go along, maybe you can get more into depth with them and explain to them how it came about, why it came about. Like, maybe what specifically are your triggers, you know? But I also feel like it's not fair to just not say anything, you know?
I have to battle against that, because if we're just talking about dating in general, for all those people that are dating right now, or you may be thinking about dating, understand that it's important to use discernment when you're speaking on deep rooted mental health issues, because somebody that you're dating could end up using that against you. And if we're too naive to understand who to open up to and who to keep things under wraps with, we're going to end up getting hurt. A lot of people are hurt because they opened up too quick, or they opened up to the wrong person that wasn't even their person for real. And what end up happening is that now they harbor a lot of hurt and resentment. A lot of people that harbor resentment for the opposite sex in dating is because they've been hurt after opening up. That's why so many dudes talk about, man, you know, I got my walls up. Ain't no way she gonna get to my heart. Woo woo woo. That's why you have a lot of just males and females out here running the streets, because they've been hurt because of something like that, where they opened up and the person they was with, the person they was dating, took advantage of that. So that's why in dating process, you have to keep a close eye on people's character. Not what they say, because there's a lot of cap in dating, especially the first couple of dates. Everybody trying to dress things up. It's like social media in real life. Everybody trying to put makeup on themselves, on their personalities, on who they are. They try to like, yeah, I cook all the time. You haven't made a meal in 5 freaking weeks. You would eat it out every day, but you cook all the time. It's cap. A lot of people are dressing things up, so we have to look at character, how they treat other people. When you're in the restaurant with them, how are they treating the waiters? When they're talking on the phone with a family member, how are they speaking? When you're literally just out and about, like, what is their character traits? For if you're a girl and you're dating a man, is this somebody to always take the lead, or does he back down when the challenge comes? If you're a man dating a girl, is she polite and kind to other people, or does she feel like the ground under her should be worshipped? You got to be looking at those things. And a lot of times, nobody's going to say, yo, I'm a narcissist. Nobody's going to say that. Nobody's going to say, yo, like, I'm egotistical and I don't care about your feelings. They're all going to be like, yeah, you know, I'm a kind person. But their actions have to show. The character is going to reflect one way or the other. So in order to get to the point where you can open up about your mental health issues, you have to see their character traits in action. You have to see the kind of person they are before you can even get into all that. Because if not, man, it's going to be tough for you. I ain't going to hold it. It's going to be tough for you.
In my opinion, a mental health issue is, I mean, obviously something that should be shared to someone responsible and I guess worthy enough to be like shared to. So like what you said, they have to be in your eyes worthy enough to be shared to, in your eyes worthy enough to have your life shared with them. So I like how it's kind of like, are they good for me? Not am I good for them? Because that switches the framework. That also gives people a confidence boost. This could be a confidence boost if you're trying to go on a date. Instead of being like, oh, how am I good for this person? You could be like, how is this person good for me? How could they fit my life? How do they fit my values? Are they good for me? When I open up to this person, are they worth me opening up to? Are they worth sharing that great side of me? So what do you guys have to say about that?
I feel like as a believer, now I don't know if this is just the girly side of me talking, but I think you should love as much as you can, and I believe that there's nothing Jesus can't heal you from. Obviously, if you get yourself in a situation with someone who you think is the right person but is not, they're gonna hurt you, and the things that, and like you said, they can use the vulnerable things that you tell them against you. But then in that same way, you know, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. I feel like even if you got with the right person, with the wrong person, and you were open, it's like, because you know when Jesus said if someone slaps you, give him the other cheek. I feel like
I'm going to turn their cheeks.
I just feel like if you really are honest and true to yourself, and you're seeing that someone uses that in a way to manipulate you, or they're just not appreciative of that in the first place, be it that they're the wrong person, I feel like then you can leave, and I strongly believe that God will heal you. Honestly, I feel like for me personally, I'm someone who is very open, and I tend to really just, like, I'm open. I talk to people and I share things, and I'm just, some people, they have their opinions about that. But for me, it's like when I do that, I know that I'm never really giving out more than, I'm not giving out something that Jesus can't heal. Like, I look at my openness in a way of showing people, like, I'm so strong in my love for Jesus that it's like, even if I open up to you, I don't believe there's a way you can use it against me because I've already given it to him. You can't, like, I'm trying to think of the best way to, like, say this, but I think that being open is a beautiful thing. And honestly, if everyone does that, they like keep closed, they don't show who they are right away. They don't, because if everyone comes with their guard up, walls up, built up, they're like, oh no, I'm not gonna share too much. I'm not. Who? If no one shares, what's gonna happen? You're just gonna be stuck in that phase, and both parties are like, okay, I'm gonna observe the other party. I'm gonna see. No, just come, be who you are, come as you are. Be open, and if you're seen, because it will show. People can't hide who they are forever, and if you're seeing that I'm coming as I am, loving, true, and kind, and these people just don't appreciate that and they can't see that, then it's time for you to go, Yeah.
Question stands. Is that off rip? Like, like, you go on a date, see dudes, like, yeah, so I actually had crippling depression. How do you feel about that?
Obviously not off rip. Like, just the point where you, like, your relationship, it's like, it's spoken upon. You're like, okay, we're talking now. We really like each other, and we're at the point where we've decided we want to build something with one another. Therefore, and that's why I say courtship and not dating, because we live in a world where it's like dating, where people just, they get together, they live together, they do all the husband and wife things. Then nothing changes when they get married, and then they wonder why they step out, or they wonder why nothing feels different. And even then you have people questioning marriage. They're like, why commit when I can have all of it in dating, So I feel like with courtship, it really is that intent that, like, this, like, we want to make this work, and you have all those boundaries set that don't even allow you to really do too much before it's time, honestly.
I'm glad you brought up courtship, because I've been having a lot of questions lately. What does the courtship process look like as opposed to dating?
For me?
In general.
I feel like more biblical. And I say that honestly in the sense that, yeah, I feel like with dating, some people, like, dating tells you you can live together before you're married. Courtship tells you, no, you can't. Like, I'm gonna think about that, because it really is not the same, And like, the main difference is you're coming together with the intent of getting married. This isn't I'm gonna see how this relationship goes, and if I don't like it, I'm gonna dip type thing,
I think that's what makes courtship so hard, because you're looking for that, and when you don't, and the thing about those, I'm gonna just say gems, or those diamonds, those people that you think are just right for you, they're not. You don't see them every single day.
You do not.
So because we don't see them every single day, it kind of second guesses us. We're just like, we get lonelier and lonelier by the minute, and the less we see them, the more, for people who are not handling it well, the lonelier they get, So that's what leads people away from courtship and towards just, like, dating for fun. It's that loneliness of just, like, yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Dating just satisfies your, like, worldly temporary pleasures, I really feel like, once again, it really all comes down to what you're living for, and what you're, like, and what you believe in, when you really do. I feel like another thing we need to understand is, like, the Bible says, do not conform to the ways of the world, and I feel like that's really why I take, like, courtship into account, because I don't want to conform to the ways of the world when it comes to a relationship and do everything that everyone's doing, you know. I'm living a faith-guided life where I've made Jesus my rock. So I serve a living God. Why can't I put trust in my God that if I were to be in a situation or in a courtship that it wouldn't turn out well, or that he would even lead me to the point where I would get into a courtship for it to maybe potentially not be good, you know? Yeah.
I want to go into the second question.
Hit me.
Okay. You guys
Yeah.
ready? Would you ever consider changing who you are in terms of compromising your beliefs, values, looks, interests, etc. for your partner? So back to kind of what we were saying earlier.
Man, been there, done that. Never again, man. For instance, there is how many? Like almost 8 billion people on this earth?
Yeah.
8 billion people on this earth. There's some dudes that when girls come around, they're LeBron James. You ain't never shot a jump shot in your life, but now, I got 500,000 in the bank account. They start hooping, they start doing all this stuff, bro. Be yourself, man. You at home, be yourself. Who's gonna like you? Who's gonna like you? I cannot turn away from my belief in God to try to satisfy or try to come into agreement with somebody else that don't believe in God. See what I'm saying? I cannot sit here and denounce my Ghanaian nationality because I want to be from Korea. You see what I'm saying? There's going to be people that are gravitated towards you because of your character. And there's going to be people that gravitate towards you because of your faith. There's going to be people that gravitate towards you. And I believe it's our role as human beings to not try to put on a whole bodysuit, a whole mask just to look appealing or like the archetype of this person. Like I would throw on clothes that aren't me. I would try to adopt this persona that was not me. Like a hard persona, street dude persona that was not me. And I'll do all of this in order for the chance to get female attention when it wasn't me. So there was cognitive dissonance, which caused me to feel like I'm a fish out of water. This is not my natural habitat. And what ends up happening is that takes a hit on your confidence. So now you know you're an imposter because you're putting on an act to try to get validation from somewhere. You shouldn't even be looking for validation over there, to be honest. We don't change who we are just to get a chance with somebody. I feel like that's very foolish. And God has so much better things for you if you're just being able to be patient and just to walk in the gifts that you've been given.
I do have sympathy though, because I understand for high school, you know, there's so many people, so many different things that it's hard to know where you fit in. And honestly, I feel like that was me for a while. I honestly feel as though like with high school, even with like, I feel like my fashion sense, it took a while. It took a while. I feel like I tried lots and lots of outfits, and you know, when something isn't feel right or it doesn't feel like it's you'll know, and then you will feel like a fish out of water, and it's just that uncomfortable feeling. But I have a lot of empathy. Like people at that age are really scared of what other people think, and it's also I think it's really not emphasized how like big it is to be different from everyone else. You're basically you're gonna have attention. You're gonna be noticed. You're gonna be seen wherever you go.
That's right.
So some people just don't have the bravery to stand behind that, you know. So oftentimes they'll conform more than they need to, because they just can't handle the weight of being different, you know, and really being themselves. And that's the thing. God made us all different. We're all uniquely different. So if everyone did not conform and everyone really stuck to who they were, we would all look very much different. And that's interesting. It would catch people's attention, you know. But you know, I just have sympathy. I understand. But also with the dating thing, in terms of that, it's you can't act one way and then switch up later, because you can only keep up an act for so long.
Facts.
It's gonna come out that that's not who you are.
It's tiring too.
It really is.
Very
And
tiring.
you'll never even have peace in what you're trying to pursue. So it's like, be you. And if that person, and when I say be you, you know, I'm a Christian, be you. But in the sense of like, you know your purpose and what God has called you to, and you're sure in yourself, you're not insecure, you know. If that's how you are being you and you get rejected, then I'm going to say keep going and keep trying and don't stop, you know. But don't be another person, you know.
Facts.
The thing that switched gears for me in my life was, instead of being a different version of myself, I chose to be the best version of myself. And off the jump, like, my social life just went up. And it was because if you're yourself, it's just a lot easier to not be offended when someone doesn't like you.
That's true. That's very true. That's very true.
Because if you just put up a front, number one, it's tiring. Number two, every day you feel like you're further and further away from who you really are.
Yeah.
And number three, in my opinion, I got even more insecure the more fronts I put up.
That's true. Because
And number four, people don't even like the front I put up, because it just didn't feel natural. It just wasn't me.
This and it's like, it's not something not add up.
Yeah.
And we got to think of it like this. There's a lot of point guards that are trying to play the center role for all you hoopers out there. You're a 5'6" point guard trying to play the role of a 7-footer and wondering why it's not working out for you, or wondering why you feel out of place. If you were to focus on being the best point guard you could be, you would realize, like, yo, this is a lot more natural, and now I'm putting up points and I'm getting assists because I'm playing in my role. Same thing for the 7-footer trying to play point guard. Realize, like, dang, why am I always getting the ball stolen from me? Why is every other point guard have so many better handles than me? And you're wondering why, because you're not playing in the role you were made for. You were made to be a center, grab boards, block shots, get rebounds. So let's keep in mind that even if we think who we are isn't adequate, what we need to do is understand that there is levels in which we can attain, obviously with our own character. But if God has placed you on this earth and you have, let's say you have affinities and passions for different things and you have competencies in different areas, it's up to us to really take those talents and make the most of it, and not to just trade those in and then go chase after something that's not us. You understand what I'm saying? And when you start walking, like going back to what you were talking about, in just who you are instead of trying to conform, at first it's very hard because then you get like all this attention, negative attention. You get a lot of people that don't want anything to do with you up front, or you just feel very lonely because now you're not conforming. Now you don't have that friend group that you can go ha ha he he about, but you really low key not vibing with them. And what ends up happening is that over time you start to attract like-minded people. And then you see, like, wait, this is a lot more wholesome, and these people actually care about me more because they understand my characteristics. They understand my personality. They understand who I am, instead of me trying to fake just to fit in.
Yeah.
That's something I felt to a lot of times in high school. And a lot of people, a lot of you guys watching, probably feel and fall to the same thing, where because you want to be accepted, because you want to have a social group of friends and people you can hang out with and claim to be your boys, your girls, whatever, you end up literally making yourself somebody you're not to do that. But I'm here to tell you, you do not have to do that. You can make a lane for yourself, and you will understand that over time people will follow. And that's where a lot of leaders are born. Leaders that are truly capable of leading, they are people that have been alone for an extended period of time, because usually they have these qualities that aren't them essentially conforming, but rather taking the reins and let's go do this. But it definitely takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes perseverance.
you learn so much more from the people that like choose to be themselves, because number one, they stick out, and number two, like they're okay with sticking out. And we're not used to seeing that from day to day.
Yeah.
We're used to seeing people wear the same clothes, talk the same way, but when you see someone different, it just throws us back, and we're just like, whoa.
Yeah. Even with the septum piercing. I'm a Christian girl with the septum piercing. I get stares all the time, but I've just learned it is what it is. To each their own. I know for me personally, I know how I feel about that. But I was gonna say, like, also really looking at why you're afraid to be yourself. If you're afraid to be yourself because you look at other people who are themselves as weird, how do you expect to be yourself? Like, you're judging them. You see that as like a fault. You yourself view that as like a negative. So you're not gonna be yourself because you think other people who are themselves are weird. You know? So you really have to fix that mindset.
Hey, man, take the plank out of your eye.
Yeah, you really have to fix that before you can even attempt to try being yourself, you know?
Before you move on, I want everybody who's watching to check out, there's a video. Is this one man, he starts dancing on a hill. I forgot the exact name of the
I know what
video.
you're talking about. Yeah, continue.
But it's essentially, they're at this music festival, and he starts dancing on the hill. And at first, he looks crazy. He looks insane, like this dude's on drugs. And people are just looking at him like, yo, what's wrong with this dude? So a minute passes by, then another person joins him. Now it's two dudes. They both look crazy.
Period.
And then 30 seconds pass by, 3 people join the 2 people, so now it's 5 people. I was like, yo, okay, it's kind of okay. They still crazy, but dang, okay, let's see what's. Then 10 people join. Now it's 15 people. Then people are looking at them like, oh, what's going on today? Is that a function? 25 people join. Now it's a whole function. And now literally all the people that were sitting around that one person, they go and enjoy this huge growing party on the hill. All because of one person decided to be himself and not conform. And literally just say, you know what? I don't care if I look crazy. Now you see literally everybody follow them, and now everybody's having a good time. Now everybody can enjoy themselves. So let's keep that in mind when we're thinking like, man, I don't want to be left out, or man, I don't want to be alone. It only takes one person to start a movement, but you got to be willing to be alone first.
I agree, yeah. Last question. I want to go to the last question. Is it ever okay to be dependent on your partner?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Explain.
That's weird. I'm sorry. It's not weird, but
Wait. No. Explain dependent, because a woman goes into childbirth for 9 months. So in that case, as the man of the house, you're supposed to be the rock, especially when she's about to give birth to a human. I would say in those type of instances, yes. Also in marriage, you guys are both interdependent. I don't want to say dependent, but interdependent on each other. But if you're talking about just dating, I don't think that you should be dependent on somebody to fulfill your needs, because you should be coming to that person already fulfilled in who you are. And me, I'm fulfilled in the one I serve, God above. So when I come into a relationship, I'm not just leeching off of them for whatever it may be. Some people it's money, some people it's emotional validation, some people it's whatever it may be. We don't want to go into relationships and be leeches, but we want to be people that add on to the other person. But in order to add on to another person, you have to have, you know what I'm saying, blessed. So be blessed, you can be a blessing. See what I'm saying? So if you're going and you're like, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to get into this relationship because this person, they got money, I don't have money, I'm going to go be a leech. No, that's not okay. Get your money up, not your funny up. Word.
Wait, man, be a blessing so you can be blessed.
No. Be blessed so you can be a blessing to others.
I'm trying to think about that.
processing.
I think my brain is okay. Yeah, continue. Sorry.
Be blessed so you be a blessing. If you're going into a place because you think, oh, okay, this dude, this girl, they got what I need, I'm gonna go and just attach to them and they'll make me complete. You already lost. You already lost. If you're thinking like, okay, this person will make me complete. Let me go. You lost. Sorry, you're done. But when you see each other and that this person's character complements mine, and they have their own thing going, I got my own thing going. When we come together, we can have this great thing going. But on ourselves, we're still good. That's like, that's a great start to a relationship.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. I really do. No, I do agree. I do. I don't think it's even fair to like right off the bat be dependent on someone. I don't even think that's normal. Like,
it is though.
It is? No, I mean normal in the sense that people do it a lot, but like if it's something that's when things are normal that shouldn't be, I feel like it's one of those things. It's so normal because it's such a toxic thing that people constantly do, but it shouldn't be normal.
I think. Sorry. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, why would you get into? Why would you? If the thing is, if you're gonna be dependent on the person that you're trying to be with, and you're just a dependent person altogether, like you're someone who needs to depend on other people, who were you depending on before them? Then there had to have been someone else. So,
I mean, usually we live in the West. There's a lot of people that's dependent on the parents.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, or let's say there's a lack of the parent in the household. You see a lot of people get into relationships because of a lack of a father figure. So they look for it outside in relationships.
Daddy issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are now trying to find their father in a man who is taking advantage, going back to what we talked about earlier, who's taking advantage of that mental issue. Yeah. And now they're using that to manipulate them. That's where becoming dependent is the problem. Is that especially in the world, people will use your weakness and try to manipulate you based on that. And if we're not already whole and complete, it's going to be very hard when you go out in the field and you're looking for somebody to partner with. Because if that person is somebody who is not empathetic, somebody who doesn't care about you but only cares from what they can get from you, it's going to be a lot of toxicity. It's going to be a lot of using. It's going to be a lot of just something you don't want to be a part of. So we have to understand that if we need to identify the voids in our life before we go out and try to look and fill those voids with other people. If we're not aware of that, we're very susceptible to falling into these type of relationships which are not conducive for growth.
I think what was I gonna say? Being on your own or like knowing your worth. I'm not saying that you should do this, but not depending on someone, in a way, some people even see that as attractive. Some people even like that you're on your own and that you don't need anyone. You don't need to depend on people as much. But don't be that just because like it's good looking. Do it for yourself. So you could live easier, I guess. What do you think?
I was gonna add to that. I was gonna say, like, we serve a jealous God. If God is seeing that yours, idolatry is what I like to call it. Idolatry. You just are so dependent on this person or said people, and you're constantly running to them whenever you need validation, whenever you need attention, whenever you need love, whatever it may be that you need, you run to them instead of the creator. I think we have to come in terms that God don't play that, and he will remove that person. Something that I've been through personally is I very much, I made something an idol that I shouldn't have. And when I tell y'all God don't play that, God don't play that. And it's crazy because for me, it was manifesting into the physical where this person was completely gone from my life, and it was so weird for me because it was like, what? But in that period of me being by myself, I was able to see the depth of my dependency. I feel like I felt as though it was just surface level. I was like, no, it's not dependency. I just, sometimes I just feel like this, I just feel like that. But having like that person gone, I didn't know where to go, what to do. And the only reason I got back up was because I was at my lowest, and I had to. When you're all the way down, the only way to look is up. I had to look up, literally. I looked up, and I would go to my favorite spots. I would go to my favorite pho place, and I looked up, and I saw like chandeliers, and I don't know. For me, it was just like, it just showed that everything that I thought was not as minimum as I thought, and it was way deeper. So it really, but God used it. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. So God really used that, I feel like, to really bring me to where I am now. And now, honestly, it's something I can say, like, I've really learned so much from. And half, honestly, of who I am is because of that situation, and because it caused me to get to the point where I had to tell God, I can't do this without you. I need you. And there's no way that I'm getting out of this, honestly.
You sound like you have something to say.
No, I just want to say that's very good, and I like the fact that you were able to open up about that, because that's something that if you haven't been through it, it's hard to really take the lesson and the message from what you just said. When you have nowhere to go but up, when you're down at the very bottom, you at the bikini bottom, bro. It's Patrick Star down there with you. Ain't no way you can look up but up, and when you look up, who's there looking right back at you? God. And it's just so, and this is why I like, for some people, honestly, they need to just go through this kind of stuff, to be quite honest, so they can see the flip side of it, and how even if you get a good relationship, you know what a bad one looks like. You know, you have that contrast. So now you have the awareness, and now you can see how far God has brought you. And for a lot of us, we just need that perspective. But in order to get that perspective, we have to go through the trial first. So honestly, some of y'all watching, y'all gonna go through those hard relationships, go through that pain, that struggle, but you need that in order to grow into who you're supposed to be, into the person that you're supposed to be with. So y'all keep that in mind, man.
It takes pressure to form a diamond. That's
Amen.
what I always say.
Amen.
Lots and lots of pressure, and understanding that we serve a God who, like, he'll give you these lessons, but he wants them. You need to know them. It's not just a one-time thing where you see it, you're like, oh yeah, this is a lesson. Like, he's gonna make you go through it in a way where it's embedded in your soul. It's a principle, it's a standard, something that you cannot outlook or look away from, because it's just the way in which he taught you it was just so, I feel like, deep and honestly so meaningful. One of those things you'll look at in life and you'll never forget, honestly. And that's honestly how I feel. I feel like this is something that till the day I leave this earth, I will never forget. I will remember the season that God has brought me through and everything about it. And what kind of lesson is better than one that you'll remember forever?
Facts.
That's how I feel.
Facts. Well, Mr. Philemon, I feel like we haven't been asking you questions, but
me?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been listening.
But we'll let you go ahead. And is there any other things you wanted to talk about?
That was all I wanted to ask you guys. I mean, if there's something you want to bring out of me, I mean, I was just listening. You guys were spitting facts, so I didn't want to interrupt.
Well,
yeah, but
we're glad just to be here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys are here.
Thank you guys.
Doing? I see you on the couch with your hot chocolate and your chips and your cereal, warm cereal.
No, we're not bringing cereal back up again.
No,
Play the clip. Play the clip.
Dang it! I tried it.
But yeah, I think that's it. Thank you guys for coming on the show. Thank you for coming again. Oh yeah, I always do this as a tradition. What is one last piece of advice that you'd like to give to people? Doesn't have to be about relationships. Doesn't have to be about anything. Just right now is your time to say a piece of advice. What would it be?
Everything is working for your good. That's what God promises you. And things are going to look so weird. But remember to not lean onto your own understanding. His ways are not your ways, and your ways are not his. It looks hard, and it probably is. and you probably think that no one understands you, but God does.
Yeah.
Call your mom. Yeah, you. Little Timmy on the couch. Yeah, you. Call your mom, bro. Why don't you call her right now after this show? Or I'm gonna press you. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna press you. I'm gonna tell you call your mom. Because not every day is guaranteed. Your mom, she had you in her stomach for 9 months. And you ain't even call her? Bro, call your mom, bro. Word to everything I love. Call your mom, bro.
Call your dad too. Let him know.
Call your whole family, gang.
Yeah.
I'm watching you. Hey, listen. Sometimes it takes you losing a loved one to realize the value. So call your mom. Give her her flowers. Go visit your mom. Tell her you love her. I'm sure she'll appreciate it.
Okay. I think that's a good way to end it. If you guys like this, comment down below. Subscribe. Anything you'd like to say about relationships. If you agreed with what they said. If you disagreed with what they said. Comment down below. Let us know. Instagram @TheBriefDive. Snapchat TheBriefDive Plus, all caps. Or email me at thebriefdive@gmail.com to let me know things one-on-one. Other than that, I think we're signing out. Yeah, peace out.